Thank you, Pastor. Thank you for the introduction. Good morning, everybody. I hope everyone had a blessed week. Hope everyone had a good fast. It was a little touch and go for me this week with the fast. I don't know if everybody else kind of feels the same way, but we're here. We made it, you know. And but I'm gonna get right into it. Not gonna take too much time, but I'm gonna speak from the sermon topic today. Show me. All right. So let us pray. Heavenly Father, I just thank you right now. I thank you for everybody on this Zoom, Father God. Thank you for everyone taking the time out, thinking it not robbery, Lord God, to be here with us this morning, this Sunday, Lord God, to hear a word from you, Lord God. I pray that you put me behind you, Lord God, and let the people see you, Father God. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, my strength and my Redeemer. In his name I pray. Amen. So, are there any history and geography buffs out there? You can raise your hand. I'm not going to quiz you. All right. I'm not, by the way. So I love history. I love geography, but I would not consider myself, a scholar or a buff by any stretch of the imagination. But it's good to know, and it's fun to learn about the world around you and the world that was. So here's some fun facts. You may or may not know that every U.S. state or territory has multiple nicknames, and there's always one that stands out as the most popular for each one, though. So to name a few, as you know, right here in Jersey, we are the Garden State. New York is the Empire State. Florida is the Sunshine State. Georgia is the Peach State. California is the Golden State. Texas is the Lone Star State, and so on and so forth. But I just want to point out one state nickname that serves my purpose for today, and that's the state of Missouri. It happens to be the Show Me State. There are a few different legends about how Missouri got its name, but the most popular legend speaks about a congressman, Willard Vandiver, ending a speech in 1899 with this statement: "Frothy eloquence neither convinces nor satisfies me. I'm from Missouri. You got to show me." So basically, he's saying that he's not moved by statements that offer little to no substance. So put your money where your mouth is. Show me. Another legend states around 1897 that hundreds of free train passes were given to Missouri legislators, and the conductors, when told that the free passes were being given out, he said, "Nah, you got to show me." So there were a few more legends, but they all ended in some form of a request to show me, some burden of proof or evidence that needed to be provided. And that's exactly what show me means: an insistence on proof or evidence. When kids are playing around and they say, "Yo, I bet you I could hit Mr. Such and Such house with this ball from right here." You might hear somebody else say, "Nah, I don't believe you. You got to show me." Or how about a conversation between a parent and a child? "Yo, did you do your homework?" Yeah, Ma. Yeah, Dad. I did my homework." Nah. I don't believe you. You got to show me. How about, "Do you love me?" Yeah, girl. You know I love you. You know I love you, girl. Nah, put a ring on it. Don't talk about it. Be about it. Show me. If you're a lawyer in the courtroom and you have to provide proof or evidence to support your claim, in essence, the judge or the jury need you to show them why they should rule in your favor. Well, we have a tendency to be that way with God. When he calls us to do something that we don't completely understand, or when we're facing a tough situation. And I know in Christianity, we like to talk about a strong faith and we walk by faith and not by sight. But if we're being honest, sometimes we all act like we're from Missouri and say, "Nah, God, you need to show me. I don't know what you're talking about. It's scary over there. I need a sign that it's really you telling me to go. I need proof that this ain't a trick of the enemy." We like to talk about blind trust. And if you got it, well, you on your way. But I want to talk to the people today who need to keep one eye up, who need to peek through the blindfold every once in a while, who need to look before they leap ever so often, who need to know the destination that the navigation is sending them to every once and again. If you struggle sometimes, to have complete, unshakable faith, this message is for you. There's a man in the Bible. He's not from Missouri. Missouri was a long way off from this time period, but he still needed God to show him something. This man's name was Gideon. Gideon was one of the 15 judges of Israel in biblical times. He's described as a timid man, but he's widely regarded as the greatest of the 15 judges. The story starts in the beginning of Judges 6, and God is once again not happy with the behavior of the Israelites. So for 7 years, he kind of lifts his covering and allows constant attack from the Midianites. Attacks were so often and so severe that the Israelites lived in poverty. God's people were poor during this time period. Whenever the Israelites would plant crops, the Midianites would invade. And it wasn't just the Midianites, it was the Amalekites and other Eastern people. So the word was getting around like, yo, God ain't with Israel right now. You know, they up for the taking. We can go over there and do whatever we want. The people would come through the land and ruin the crops, and they didn't spare a living thing in Israel. I mean, you couldn't even count the number of invaders or their camel, for that matter, who wanted to get a piece of the pie. The invasion was so bad and so oppressive that the Israelites were living in mountain clefts and caves. They literally feared for their lives. So naturally, this causes them to cry out to God to deliver them from the Midianites. And God says, look, I brought you out of Egypt, out of slavery. I rescued you from the Egyptians. I saved you from the oppressors all around you, drove them out of your land and gave it to you. All I ask is that you accept me as Lord, and worship no other gods. However, you chose not to listen. So God has the attention. And when he has your attention, then he begins to put his plans in action to turn things around. Enter Gideon. I'm going to pick up a story in Judges chapter 6, verses 11 through 24, NIV version. Chapter 11, verse 11 reads, the angel of the Lord came and sat down under the oak in Oprah that belonged to Joash, the Abiezrite, where his son Gideon was threshing wheat in a winepress to keep it from the Midianites. I want to stop there for a second, just so I can express again just how dire this situation is. Denise made mention of the process of threshing wheat, you know, in her Bible study on Friday. And I was like, yo, talking about that. So threshing wheat in a wine press is almost an impossible task. A wine press in those days was basically a hole in the ground for grapes to be pressed. Threshing wheat is a process of separating the grain or the edible portion of the wheat stalks. It was meant to be done above ground, where you can shake off the grain off the stalks or beat the stalks against something to get the good grain so it could be collected. Now I want you to imagine Gideon standing in this hole, basically, trying to step on these stalks like grapes to get the grain off. It's not an ideal situation, but the reason he was doing it is because he was hiding. The Midianites were not leaving anything behind when they came through. Verse 12, when the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he said, the Lord is with you, mighty warrior. And I could just see Gideon looking around like who me? The Lord, like where? We haven't seen the Lord around here. Like, it says, pardon me, my Lord. Gideon replied, but if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? Where are all his wonders that our ancestors told us about? When they said, did not the Lord bring us up out of Egypt? But now the Lord has abandoned us and given us into the hand of Midian. So Gideon, he's not buying it. He doesn't want to hear nothing about the Lord being with them. They're struggling right now. They're living in poverty. They're getting robbed every day. Gideon like, yo, you see me in this wine press threshing wheat? Don't play with me. You know it don't go like this. You know that this process is not done this way. I'm not trying to hear none of that right now. God who? I don't see no God. Where he at? Show him to me. You ever felt like that? Have you ever felt that way? I remember one of my friends. I remember one of my closest friends when we were a few years out of college. He had a real rough patch. He had a real rough patch in life, and you know he didn't want to. He didn't have a really good relationship with his biological father. and the disdain that they had for each other had hit an all-time high. He had issues with his girlfriend at the time. He couldn't find a job. And it just seems like at every turn, it was just bad news, one bad thing after the other. And it felt like I was talking him off a cliff every day. He was not trying to hear nothing about God. And it wasn't like he didn't know God. We grew up in a church together. We went to Sunday school together. We were part of several church organizations together. His dad was a minister in our church and later became a pastor of a different church. So this brother was no stranger to God. However, in that moment, he didn't want to hear it. He felt abandoned. His faith was hanging on by a thread. He needed more. He needed more. He couldn't take just me talking. He needed visual evidence that things were going to turn around and work out. And I know we say, keep the faith and be strong and push through because God is going to turn around. But it's easy to say until you're in it. Mm-hmm. Easy to say until your world is turned upside down. So my boy, just like Gideon, is like, you can miss me with all that talk. I need more. Verse 14. The Lord turned to him and said, go in the strength you have and save Israel out of Midian's hand. And am I not sending you? Pardon me, my Lord, Gideon replied, but how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family. So this is the Lord talking to Gideon now. This is not the angel of the Lord. This is the Lord that turns around and hears Gideon talking reckless about him, talking all this smack to the angel about him. And he's like, yeah, Gideon is like, yo, God, nah, we don't know no God. We ain't seen him around here in a while. What God you talking about? So God jumps in the conversation and says, hey, Gideon, my boy, I'm right here, my son. I hear you. I'm gonna send you to go save Israel. Once again, Gideon is looking around like, you talking to me? You must be joking. I'm the weakest and the least of all my people. But God, ain't that how God operates? He appoints the least likely, so his power truly shines through. However, as we can see, Gideon is not sold on this idea. So verse 16, the Lord answered, I will be with you, and you will strike down all the Midianites, leaving none alive. Gideon replied, if now I have found favor in your eyes, give me a sign that it is really you talking to me. Please do not go away until I come back and bring my offering and set it before you. And the Lord said, I will wait until you return. Still with me? Gideon went inside, prepared a young goat, and from an ephah of flour, he made bread without yeast. Putting the meat in a basket and its broth in a pot, he brought them out and offered them to him under the oak. The angel of God said to him, take the meat and the unleavened bread, place them on this rock, and pour out the broth. And Gideon did so. Then the angel of the Lord touched the meat and unleavened bread with the tip of the staff that was in his hand. Fire flared from the rock, consuming the meat and the bread, and the angel of the Lord disappeared. When Gideon realized that it was the angel of the Lord, he exclaimed, alas, sovereign Lord, I have seen the angel of the Lord face to face. But the Lord said to him, peace, do not be afraid. You are not going to die. So Gideon built an altar to the Lord there and called it, the Lord is peace. To this day, it stands in Ophrah of the Abiezrites. So God tells Gideon, don't worry about your status and who others think you are. I know who you are. I'm going to go with you, and you will be victorious over the Midianites. Trust me on this. And Gideon responds, well, that's all well and good, God. Thanks for the pep talk, but I'm gonna need you to show me. These last 7 years have been rough. I'm not in a good place mentally to even attempt what you're asking. I need a sign that you are truly riding with me on this, that have truly found your favor on what you speak of. Not only had Gideon been through a lot, he felt unworthy, he felt inadequate to even be considered for such a task. He was struggling to believe his faith was on life support, but it wasn't gone. If the Lord could just give him a sign, it might charge up his faith battery just a little bit. So don't be so prideful or bashful that you won't ask God for a sign. He's the Lord Almighty, but he's still our Father. And what good parent doesn't give their child a reassurance if they ask, especially when they're struggling to believe something and tell them? The parent will not only give them what they need to help them believe, but if possible, if the situation calls for it, they'll even go with the child. And God not only gives Gideon a sign, but he also promised before to go with him. Gideon would begin his process on saving the Israelites by destroying the altars and idols dedicated to the false god Baal and uniting the people. And in the midst of moving on what God asked him to do, Gideon asked for 2 more signs. But his faith was being restored a little more with each request because he was gaining confidence every time his sign was granted. So eventually, he didn't need any more signs. He just moved on to what the Lord told him to do. The Lord cut Gideon's army down from 30,000 to 300 and sent them into battle against the Midianites, the Amalekites, and all the other eastern people who had joined forces together now. It says they settled in the valley as thick as locusts, meaning they were too numerous to count, definitely more than 300 deep. Gideon no longer questioned it because he knew that God would see him through. But before he could get there, he had to say, God, show me. The Israelites will go on to defeat the Midianites and friends under the Gideon's leadership. So we don't gain blind trust or faith by just accepting Jesus. It has to be built up over time. And sometimes to get there, get to that next level, you have to ask God for a sign. Let him know you need to hear from him. You're struggling to hold on. Show me something. Asking God to show you could be an act of faith within itself because you believe that he can do something to see you through. You will have doubts. Even Thomas, who walked with Jesus, had doubts about the fact that Jesus rose from the dead. He had a show me moment himself. In John 20:25, he said, unless I see the nail marks in his hands and put my finger where the nails were and put my hands into his side, I will not believe. Thomas gets a bad rap for that. There's a familiar phrase based on that moment. When you find something hard to believe and you need proof, they call you a doubting Thomas. He gets a bad reputation, but in reality, most of us are just like him. Show me. Show me it's you, Jesus. And you know what Jesus does? He shows him. In John 20:27, a couple verses later, he appears to Thomas and says, put your finger here, see my hands, reach out your hand and put it in my side. Stop doubting and believe. Jesus didn't say, get lost, you phony, you pretender. He showed up. He showed him. He showed him exactly what he needed to see and then encouraged him to believe from that point forward. It's okay to have doubts and ask God to show you something. So as long as you don't allow it to prevent it, as long as you don't allow it to prevent you from moving forward. I was talking to my friend that I mentioned earlier just the other day, and every situation I mentioned completely turned around for him. His relationship with his dad is completely repaired and solid. He has a lovely wife and 2 children, 2 beautiful children, and he has not 1 but 2 jobs, 2 phenomenal jobs that allow him to travel all over the world. He's been blessed and then some, but it took years of God repeatedly showing him things and rebuilding his faith. I told him back then, one day we would laugh about some of these moments. And when we talked the other day, that's exactly what we were doing. So be encouraged and don't let the enemy make you believe that because your faith is not where it needs to be right now, that it'll never get there. Ask God to show you, but then when he does, and he will, believe. Thank you, guys. I love you guys.
Woo-hoo.
Appreciate
I love
you.
Terrence. I really thought you was going to say, when God shows you who he is, just shut up. I thought you was going to say that. I'm like, oh, man. Because a lot of times we keep talking. That's why it's important. You can see fruit. I always say a tree is known by its fruit. Show me. So I love this, Terrence. Thank you so much. And I think TG is in the space of, all right, God, we done seen your work. We done felt your power. Listen, this is wonderful. Yeah. This is great. Show me. I need you to show me. So this was a great topic. Thank you so much for that, Terrence. It really blessed me and it's encouraging. And you know, people always talk about the least likely. My friend Terrence, you are the least likely that people wouldn't believe. I promise you, you was preaching to yourself on this one. And God is going to show you, because He's going to show us, He's going to show the world. And I'm so excited about it. So you can have all your questions, Mr. Gideon. It's go time. Show me. Yes. So this was really, really good. I'm so grateful for you and thank you for your obedience on this. Does anybody request any prayer before I close out? Any special prayer, you can put it in the chat, or you can send it through info at transformgeneration.net. Continue to pray for us. I hope everybody did their fast, because this week last week was our fast week. And if anybody wants to join me, I'm fasting again this week. Join me if you would like, please. You could do whatever works for you. That's fine. But if you want to join, we need direction. We need clarity. We need to hear. To be honest, I really don't think, I think God is doing the work in all of us. And I think we're all being tested. I do. I think all of this, the talk, it's like, you ain't got to talk. Show me. So I love this, Terrence, but I think we're all being tested, and in a good way, a faith that has not been tested cannot be trusted. Because what He's going to do for TG, and as big as it's going to be, I got to make sure that you guys I can trust you with this, because this is going to be big. And my thing is, show me, God, show me. If you show us, if you tell us, we will do it. So if anybody's open to joining me this week to fast again, you are more than welcome. As a matter of fact, I invite you to fast with me. And for TG, we're fasting for TG. We're fasting for healing. We're fasting for any needs that we need. But most of all, we are fasting for God to tell us where our next church building is going to be. Sometimes I'm thinking, God, is it land you want us to buy and us build? Because we are struggling to find a building. And the zoning has been a headache. We went to go see a place, the board, Angie, Melissa, Terrence, Lamar. We went to go see a place and they were trying to sell us a restaurant. We said, we don't want the restaurant. We just want the building. And they was trying to sell us some crystals. And Terrence is like, bruh, we don't want your crystals and we don't want your tablecloths. We want the building. So just pray, because it was a perfect spot for us. Stage lighting, it had everything we needed. But they couldn't get rid of the restaurant. But keep praying. They would have zoned it for a church for us and everything. But keep praying for God to show us which direction to buy, to rent, whatever He wants us to do in this season, because we're still a growing church. We're still a new growing church. So don't forget, starting June 1st, you saw the announcements. Don't forget, we're going to switch to Wednesdays. We'll see how it works. We hope that everybody is able to attend on Wednesdays. I'm just reiterating the announcements. What else? I think that's it. Anybody requested prayer? Let me check the chat. And if not, he showed up. My cousin is doing well. Who was that? Anita? Woo woo. Yeah, that's a praise testimony. Her cousin, actually, that TG prayer works. I'm telling you, that power works. And Anita, I think she didn't even need to. Can you tell us a little bit about?
Yeah. To make a long story short, she had fallen months back and she had a bleed on her brain that no one detected. And she was going, she had CAT scans and everything, and it wasn't detected. On Mother's Day, she fell again, had to be rushed to the hospital because she had passed out. Her whole left side of her brain was full of blood. So she was helicoptered to one of the trauma centers in Richmond, Virginia. So they performed the surgery. She's doing well. I mean, she does have to do a little bit of rehab, but the doctors were amazed at how well she is doing thus far. And I just want to thank TG for all the prayers, because I've never came out and asked for prayer. I've always done it myself, because that's just what I did. But to have powerhouses praying for my cousin and my family, it just meant the world to me. And from the bottom of my heart, I'm so thankful and so grateful to everyone who prayed for her, because she's doing well and she's going to have a good recovery. So thank God.
Woo-hoo. Thank you, God.
Thank you.
You said, Terrence said, show me. He showed me. Do it again.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you, Anita. I also see we're going to pray for Mina's friend Melissa and her baby boy Caleb. I know you've seen some of the text messages go back and forth about praying for baby Caleb. So we're going to pray for him. Also, Cindy's father needs healing. Cindy, if you don't mind, what is your father's name?
His name is Douglas.
Douglas. So we're going to be praying for Douglas and Caleb and Melissa. And I think that's it. Shakima says she's in on the fast. Well, let's go, girlfriend. Let's go. So without further ado, thank you for joining our Sunday morning service. I'm going to close out with prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you. We thank you. We thank you for bringing us here yet another week. We are patiently waiting, oh God, for you to give us our next step and what we're supposed to be doing, oh God. We just thank you for your love and your kindness. We thank you for the word, oh God, and we are asking you to show us your glory, oh God. We ask that you bless Douglas, Cindy's dad, and Caleb and Melissa, Mina's friends, oh God. They need healing. We need to see turnarounds right now, oh God. We just ask that you just continue to bless TG. Take us to our destinations this week safely back and forth to work, oh God. We ask that you help us to keep our mind diligently stayed on you. We love you and we thank you. In Jesus' matchless holy name we pray. Everybody say amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right, everybody.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Have a great week,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
Thank you, Terrence.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Berkeley.
Bye.
Thanks, Terrence. That was great.